Life has its ups and downs, and everybody experiences success and failures. However, at some point along the way, it is possible to lose a sense of our true selves and identity. This can happen so easily, especially if we go through tough times, such as a relationship breaking down, feeling isolated, or lacking self-confidence. It can also stem from a cycle of addiction. When we are born, we are brought into the world as new or untouched. We do not have any preconceived notions of how life is meant to be. Everything is wondrous, and we do not inherently have self-doubts. When we journey through life, external factors may knock our feeling of self-worth, and we may then question our talents and ourselves. This can happen to anybody at any age, and no matter what occupation you have. These self-doubts is a learned perception that we adopt through people telling us we can't, or as our mind develops, we feed ourselves these negative thoughts. However, the mind is a powerful thing, and we create our own reality. So in order to get back to ourselves, we need to start believing that we can, and start saying, I am worthy. In order to get back to a sense of our true self, it is essential to take time out, relax, try out different hobbies, and see what you like and can identify with. Having passions are extremely important to drive us towards fulfillment and give us a sense of belong. As Steve Marbley said, when you are living the best version of yourself, you inspire others to live the best versions of themselves.
Good evening and welcome to Find the Answer. Well, tonight we have a very interesting topic. How easy is it to lose your identity in the journey through life? Life has never been easy. Through life, we go through ups and downs. Life has brighter and better days, but life also brings unpleasant surprises. And when this happens, does it change who you are? Do you let it change your identity, your personality, your behavior, or perhaps the way you treat people? Bitterness, sorrow, sadness, disappointments, and all these negative feelings can trigger a change of identity. Well, give us a call right now if you are experiencing one of these feelings. We have a team of advisors that are willing to listen to your story. Our lines are open now, and I want now to talk to you, Lisa. Good evening, Lisa. How are you?
Good evening, Pastor. I'm very well, thank you.
Lisa, we are asking this viewer to give us a call.
Yeah.
Because we would like to hear from them, their opinion, which is really, really important. In fact, Finding Answers, what makes Finding Answers a successful show is really the opinion of our viewer, in our tonight's discussion.
Completely. We want to reach out to people watching at home, and if anyone has felt that they've lost a sense of identity, that they're at breaking point and they don't know themselves anymore, we really want to reach out to people, for people to ring in, and we really want to help them. When we talk about identity, it is a very interesting thing because we ultimately identify ourselves with jobs, relationships, or anything going on in society. So when we talk about our true self, we are essentially talking about identity and who we actually are. And identity can be formed from labels we place upon ourselves and our roles in society, such as a mother or a husband or even an employee. So, however, losing your identity can be a long process. It can happen over a period of months, or it can happen quite suddenly over a life event or trauma. So a loss of identity or one's sense of self may follow all sorts of changes. So this could be a change in the workplace, or maybe a loss of a role that once defined us, such as a child, a parent, or as a spouse. So this can leave a gap or an empty space in our lives, and such a loss of identity and a sense of true self can result in increased levels of anxiety and a loss of self-confidence.
You know, someone might have said, well, since I was cheated by my partner, I lost my identity. I mean, a lot of men have been suffering with severe and chronic depression because they found out that, you know, their wives, their girlfriends were cheating on them. And after this sad event in their lives, they completely lost, you know, themselves. They don't know who they are. A lot of people, you know, lost hope in life because of a disappointment, a betrayal. Business was booming, but all of a sudden, you know, with the economy tragedy, with the, you know, with the decrease of the economy in the country, a lot of business owners lost their identity. When they go to work, they go without motivation. The smile is no longer there. And this has been seriously implicating in the sales, you know, in the way customers deal with that man. I mean, there are so many things we can talk about here tonight. But you know what? I'd like you now to pay close attention to this amazing story. What you're going to watch now is something very touchy and very deep. This man, Chris Brown, he was having a very, very deep state of bereavement. In just, you know, a space of time, he lost his best friend, his grandmother, his mother, and if as all that was not enough, he ended up losing his father too. I mean, the life of this man was completely destroyed. But let's see what the power of faith can do.
I was experiencing a lot of bereavement. I had a very good friend of mine who, some guys jumped him, they stabbed him in the throat and he died. Not long after that, later on then, my grandmother passed away. 8 months after, 9 months after, then my mother passed away too. That one really rocked me because that's the first person you know in your life. And then just about 8 months after that, then my dad died as well. Now, taken from there, that I've lost all these people, and then after the relationship I was in broke down, and I had a young one was abducted to another country as well, so everything had crashed. On top of that, it just got worse where I lost my job, I had no finances, losing where I'm living. A dear friend of mine who was quite close, we walked down to, it was Dalston actually, and it was the market. When I entered the market, there was a group of people there, and what happened was, one of them particularly handed me this newspaper, and when he handed me this newsletter, something inside me said, look, why don't you go and have a look? So I went, and I saw a lot of people screaming and praying, and I thought, this isn't really for me at the time, and I left. But I left there with a massive headache and still not right, and things kind of got worse. And it came to the point where you've got nothing to cling to. But I remember when somebody else, I was having a battle, I was with a solicitor, and he turned to me and he had his book, and he closed his book and he said, Mr. Brown, are you a man of God? And I thought, let me go back to that place and have a look. From the moment I went back to the church, my whole life changed. I was being counselled by one of the pastors there who advised a chain of prayer. What else could I hold on to? I had nothing else. So I went with it. Today, I'm happily remarried. My career is going up and up. Everything around me is just good. And the main thing was, when I would go back to when I was in the market, the gentleman who actually came up and gave me that newspaper, he probably wouldn't remember now, was Mr. Effie. That actually invited me. I've never regretted that day.
This is an encouragement for us to continue doing what we do, to put smiles on as many people's faces as we can. Because what we do, it's really a priceless gift that we can give to people, and the joy is to see them here with us.
It's a proven fact that faith can change any situation. If you watch this story carefully, you saw how difficult the situation of this man was. He had 4 losses, one after the other. And perhaps you're watching right now and you've been, grieving for the loss of a family member. It's happened, a while ago, or maybe it's just a recent loss. But regardless of the length of the loss, your heart is bleeding. You're feeling, that life ended. I remember one day I was talking to a lady and she came to talk to me, asking for an advice, and she said, "Douglas, please pray for me because, my son passed away." And then I asked her, but when I looked at her, I thought, well, oh dear, maybe her son might have died a few months ago and the pain's too recent. And then I asked her, "Dear, if you don't mind asking me, how long ago did your child pass?" She said, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, but it feels like it was yesterday. Well, faith can heal this. Faith can remove this pain. Religion can't, but faith can certainly remove such pain. And if you're having such pain or any pain, if you've been losing, your identity in the journey through life, and you want someone to talk with, give us a call right now. We are here, we are live. We are ready to listen to you. If you want to get things off your chest, the phone number is 020-7686-6300, or alternatively, you can drop us an email to help@findinganswers.tv, and one of our advisors will be glad to talk to you. Your email will be answered promptly. Okay? Well, we are going to go to a break now, and we are going to come back shortly with you.
The behaviour that I had, it led me to being imprisoned on 2 occasions. When I first went to prison, I didn't think it was anything. It was like, okay, everyone goes to prison. But, I still had an attitude in there. I was fighting people because I just didn't want to be told what to do. I was really getting into trouble all of the time. I was selling drugs inside. I just didn't care. But, after a while, I was starting to get tired. I didn't want to be that person. So I knew that I had to change. So after I went through the course and started to look inside of myself and I started to see the changes, I carried on going. It was hard at first, but I continued going more and more, and seeing the changes in myself made me to see that I could be a better person. So I just continued, and today I'm not depressed, I'm not angry, I don't have a bad attitude, I don't want to fight people all the time, and I just love being me.
Make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
My Channel TV, featuring a kaleidoscopic daily dose of programming. Stay with us every day and explore politics, economics, science, technology, lifestyle, culture, sports, and much more. We're here to amuse you, to keep you updated, and to keep you company. We're My Channel, your channel on Sky 203.
Uplifting,
diverse, vibrant, dynamic,
powerful, youthful, informative,
energizing, passionate,
motivational, freedom, lively,
excitement.
Welcome back to Finding Answers if you're tuning right now. Tonight's topic is all about your identity. How easy is it to lose your identity in the journey through life? Life is a journey, like we previously said. It's, ups and downs, good and bad moments. So how can bad moments interfere with the change of identity of an individual? So if you'd like to give your opinion, please give us a call right now. We are live here, 020-7686-6300. Okay? But well, we have here in the studios tonight a guest that has an amazing, fascinating story to share with us. Pastor Edward will be interviewing Nuria. Let's go now and see Nuria's story.
Pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
Thank you, Pastor Douglas, and good evening to all the viewers. Yes, we have here Nuria, who is our guest, live guest for tonight's episode. Good evening, Nuria.
Good evening.
Thanks for coming, to Finding Answers. So tell us, how did the problems begin? What happened to you? How was your story?
Okay, so it began at a very young age because growing up, I didn't really grow up in what I could call home because I didn't meet my dad until the age of 7. And my mother, who was a single mother at the time and actually very young, she had to find ways to work in order to provide for me. Who she had at a very young age. So I was left to be looked after by, her parents who were already in the old age. So I felt very neglected as a child. Right. And whenever my mom was around, there was a lot of physical, and mental abuse as well. She would tell me all sorts of horrible things because she herself went through a very tough childhood. So, all that she went through, I guess, it put her through a lot of stress and she would just take it all out on me.
So your mom and your dad, they were separated since you can remember?
From when I was born, basically.
Could it be that maybe she resented him a little and
she did very
projected
much, very
that
much
towards you?
Yeah.
Yes.
And plenty of times I remember her telling me things, oh, you're just like your dad, I hate you. She would tell me all sorts of horrible things that you wouldn't really expect a mother to tell to her child. And eventually she got herself involved in different relationships, hoping to find better ways to provide for me because, as I mentioned, she was a young and single parent at the time.
I can only imagine, Nuria, such a traumatic experience and situation since you were a child. I mean, this is suffering, right? We have to say that's what you knew, from the very one who should protect you and look after you. I mean, not having your father around, was already hard enough, but that on top of it, I can only wonder in what ways did that affect you the most as you grew up?
Okay, it affected me mostly in my self-esteem because she used to call me ugly. And not only her, but as I mentioned, she got herself in different kinds of relationships and they also would, call me ugly, try to turn her against me, basically. And it caused me to grow up with a lot of resentment towards my mother because I felt that, I needed that protection from her, but most times I would feel that she would take their sides and not mine. And so I felt very alone, very empty. I even got to the point of running away from home at the age of 11 because not only that, but there was, at 11 years old, I ran away from home, but eventually they found me and brought me back. Because at the time I was also very much suicidal. So it was either I would, just, end my life. At a very young age, I was very, very much suicidal. Yeah, so it's a thing where I didn't feel loved at home.
And also as a young child, I would go to a friend's house and I would see, you know, how parents would treat them, you know, with love and care, and I wanted that.
How different it was with you.
So I wanted that, but...
Nuria, I can only also imagine how many people watching us now, to some extent, or, you know, in a very similar way, went through what you went through. And when you said about these words that were spoken to you, you know, these remarks, you know, words can hurt more than a physical aggression sometimes, of course. Physical aggression is something extremely horrible. Any kind of abuse is negative, horrible. But words are very, you know, the negative words can hurt a lot. Imagine you love someone, and maybe this happened to you, you know, and from the very person you love, or that you would expect some support, comes words as the ones that Nuria heard. You're ugly. You know, I don't like you, I hate you. And as Douglas was speaking about in the first segment of the program, I was here watching, in a situation like this, how can you be healed? How can you overcome? There's only one way, actually, faith. Faith is the healing. It doesn't only heal the body. People can find healing to the body by faith, from a disease, from pains. We've seen that happen many times, numerous experiences of healings by faith, but it also heals what medication, physical medication, does not affect, because physical medication affects the physical. But we are not only physical, we're not only a body, we're also a soul and we are a spirit. We are these three elements form the human being. And how about the soul? How to heal the soul when the soul is hurt? And when the soul is hurt, there are terrible consequences, because I was seeing here with your story, read a little bit about it before we started to speak, and that turned into aggression.
Yeah.
At what point did aggression come into the picture?
I would say from the age of 6, 7, I was already very, very aggressive and rebellious, you know, because it's a thing where I was not only going through, you know, emotional abuse, but physical abuse, also constantly getting, you know, beaten at home, to the point where I thought, you know what, I've had enough, you know, I can't deal with this anymore. So then I began to retaliate even. When
was the worst? What was it, for instance? When did it become the worst for you?
The worst was when, unfortunately, you know, because the anger was so much, you know, I put my own mother in hospital because she hit me. So, you know, it was like I was so consumed by rage that, you know, I just, you know, switched on her, you know, attacked her back. Wow. And because she had not long had an operation before that incident happened, you know, she was admitted to hospital, and then I was like, my goodness, what have I done?
You also mentioned that you were also a compulsive liar.
Very much so.
Why?
Very. Because as I said as well, when I would go to friends' house and I would see how happy they were with their families, and I knew I didn't have that at home. So what I started doing, well, to start off with, I would never bring friends home anyway. So I would make up stories, you know, to make me seem like I am just as they are, like I had a happy family just as they had. So my life was basically made out of fantasies from my own mind.
And which evidently were not, you know, a way to happiness, because deep inside your true self,
it
wasn't a happy one.
No.
So tell us, did things change?
It changed.
Tell us, how did things change? What did you do? Or what someone in a situation like this, Nuria, that is going through what you went through right now, turn into aggression because of low self-esteem, abuse, all this cocktail of issues together, how can someone overcome?
Okay, so to start off with, a close relative that obviously knew how I was and how uncontrollable I was in terms of aggression, this close relative was already familiar with the power of faith.
Mm-hmm.
So when they invited me, you know, to come and receive help, prayers, to be honest with you, at first I was very skeptical. I was like, I suffered so much, like, what can this offer to me? You know, how can I actually change? I'm so used to being this person. But I said, you know what, I don't really have nothing to lose anyway, so let me just give it a try. So then, you know, I went, you know, to a place where they were actually speaking about, you know, a faith that is intelligent. And from the moment I understood that, I said, you know what, I don't need to pretend to be somebody that I'm not. You know, if they are telling me that I can actually find happiness, that I can actually be me and, you know, start again. You know, so let me give it a try. And I did. And that's when I saw, you know, the turning point in my life. Firstly, it started with the inner being, because, you know, I was very empty, but through using the power of faith and seeking for, you know, that help, you know, that's when I was able to be healed inside, you know, to be able to let go of all the grudges, because I had a lot of grudges towards my mom. You know, I managed to let go of all the grudges, all the hurt, the low self-esteem. You know, I just embraced this, you know, intelligent faith that was presented to me.
So you were able to overcome that?
I was able to
overcome. Is low self-esteem still an issue?
Not at all, no.
Do you think you're ugly?
No.
Still affected by those words of the past?
No, I'm really not.
Who is the true Nuria today?
Nuria today is someone that is a lot more confident. I am bold, you know, I know where I'm going with my life, you know, career-wise, you know, I'm focused, I have achieved a lot, you know. From when I was going through all the traumas, you know, I was, you know, constantly dropping out of college, you know, I wasn't even believing in myself that I could achieve, you know, but through also using the power of faith, you know, I managed to get a position, you know, where, you know, I'm happy, basically,
And the lies also gone?
It's also gone, yes. So,
aggression?
Yeah, it's also
I'm not in any kind of danger being here. Did I say anything wrong, or even if I did it?
No.
So a total change. You became a different person, a different individual.
And until today, it's unbelievable. Like when I think of who I used to be compared to who I am today. Yeah.
Very good. You know, first of all, congratulations on this change. It's amazing, right? We just hope more people will be interested in finding out about this power and receive help too. But I wanted to do this. I wanted to invite you, Nuria, to be here at our helpline, at our call center here next door. We are live. If you are going through this right now, if this is a part of your life, low self-esteem, abuse, neglected by the very ones who should love you, and you want to speak to someone who understands your pain, she does, because she went through it. She will be there. Could you be there with her? She's going to be there at the next door, and you are watching us and you say, I want to speak to Nuria now. I want to speak to her. I want to find out more about, you know, how she was able to get help. She'll be able to give you all the details. But since our time is short, we're going to stop now. You can still call us. The number appears there, 02-07-686-6300, or you can send us an email to help@findinganswers.tv, and we are going to pray on your behalf. You can send the name of your loved ones, send your prayer request. If you're in trouble, you can do this too. We're going to watch now the opinions of general people, the general public in the streets of London, where Lisa went around asking questions about finding the true identity. Let's see what the people had to say, and we'll be back.
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And
so you can have as many friends and families as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Hi, it's Lisa here on the streets of London for Finding Answers. Today I was asking people, how easy is it to lose a sense of yourself when travelling through life? Here's what they said. How easy is it for people to lose a sense of themselves when going through life?
Quite easy, because if they've got a family, then they're going to be thinking about their happiness and health, and they forget about their own concerns.
Very easy, because temptation is everywhere, and especially for young people, using drugs and alcohol.
Well, it depends actually, because it depends on your character, if you're self-confident or if you're not, and if you are very ground-based, very deep ground-based of your character, and it depends on your priorities. If you would like to impress somebody, or if you want to improve yourself through life. So it just depends on a certain character.
So if you're ground-based, do you think it'd be harder to influence you, to shift your mindset?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to lose sight because there's so much other influences going on in the world, and yes, we don't have enough quiet time. I think we are human doings rather than human beings. We don't have enough time to be.
The pursuit of happiness. What will make you happy? Success? Fame? New shoes? Financial security? Love? Education? Independence? Family? Sometimes in the pursuit of things we think will bring us happiness, sometimes we fail to see that we aren't happy, or we never find it. We live in a world of people. Rather than pursue things to make you happy, what if we all worked to make each other happy? Wouldn't we all be happier?
The story that you've just watched, the person that was interviewed by Pastor Edward, what you saw here isn't, a magical trick. Her life didn't change overnight. No, but that was faith in action. Faith in theory. A lot of people claim to have faith. A lot of people in this world, in fact, I was listening to a radio show earlier today, and which had an interesting debate where they were talking about, the existence of God, that most people in this country believe there is a God. But it doesn't mean anything. Even evil believes there is God, and it's still evil. But what you saw here was a transformation of life followed by actions of an intelligent faith. And of course, faith has to be learned. No one is born with faith. Faith is not something that we learn in a university, in high school. Faith is a gift from God. that is inside of you. And if you're watching me right now, believe me, you might have some faith inside of you. Pay attention to these words here. For I know your thoughts, that I think toward you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. So it's crystal clear here. Pastor Edward, good evening. Thanks for joining me. It's crystal clear here that God aims, He wishes a future, a bright, a prominent future to this person.
And when it's not happening, it's not that the person doesn't have faith, because this is a gift that is inside every human being, but we have to learn how do we use this faith in a correct way. You know, to make an analogy, trying to make a little bit easier to understand, for instance, let's say that someone has a weapon at home, but has no clue on how using it. So the weapon can be useful if we know how to use it in a proper way, but it's also something that can be very dangerous and tragic in the hands of somebody who is going to use it for evil or who doesn't know how to use it. So when we have faith inside us, but we don't know how to use this faith, it's going to become useless. It's not going to bring any change about, or maybe I would say help the person with 1% of what its full potential can be, which is just, well, I have faith, I pray, and I feel a little bit better. But actually, as this scripture that you just mentioned says, it's not about just feeling better, but also helping us be who we are, our true identity, without having to pretend, just like Nuria found out, and still be happy. Overcome issues, change the things that we don't like about ourselves, in the sense of, you know, maybe I'm angry and I don't want to be angry. Maybe I'm too negative or too critical and I don't want to be this way, but I'm trying to do it and I can't change. How do I change? When we learn how to use this faith, every change is possible. Our dreams can be achieved.
Yes, I agree. Very wise word. Faith has to be learned. And in fact, you know, let's go to the practical way of it. We are going to watch now a story of someone who learned how to use faith, and this person accomplished the benefits of such faith. Watch now.
One of the situations that I went through recently was with my brothers. They were living the nightlife, going out with girls, partying, involved with drugs, trying to fill the void they had inside of them. And I remember one day I got a phone call that they were involved in a car accident. They had been taken to hospital. I've tried to do everything I could, and it got me frustrated seeing that I wasn't going anywhere, that I couldn't help them, I couldn't get them out of this situation. So I prayed to God and I said, my God, their lives are in your hands. I don't know if they're gonna come out of this alive, but if you do save them out of this, I am going to surrender everything in your hands. Within a few months, I started seeing changes in them. And it wasn't being imposed by me. It wasn't me telling them what to do or not to do. It was a decision that came from them. They themselves decided to stop living the nightlife. They stopped going out with their friends. They stopped using drugs. They now are totally transformed. I'm so proud of them now. They actually now want to help other people, other youths, other young boys that are going through the same thing they went through. So they now help them as well, to make them realize that that's not the right way of living, and I'm very proud of them now.
It's really rewarding and amazing to see how people's lives are changing through the power of faith, you know, and your life can change too. Faith never lets us down. Religion, yes. Religion might let you down. Religion might bring confusion, wars, conflicts, disputes, endless disputes, to see who is best, who is righteous, who is wicked, who goes to heaven, who goes to hell. But faith has nothing to do with this confusion. Faith is the power of God given, like Pastor Edward, it was well put by Pastor Edward, given to all those who believe. And if you're watching now, you believe, of course you do. And by the way, talking about belief, Pastor Edward, we have here this interesting book, which is our Finding Answers prayer book. You know, how can the viewer, you know, be part of this book here, if you wish?
It's very simple. We're going to pray, of course, even towards the end of the program with the people who call, but they have to call us, 0207-686-6300. The number appears here. We are live. They can call now. Or if they prefer to send an email, help@findinganswers.tv. If you allow, Douglas, also they can find us on Facebook. Just search for Finding Answers. Also on YouTube, Finding Answers. They can find our YouTube channel and watch previous episodes. So there's different ways they can connect, and includes the name in the prayer book.
Exactly. In fact, a beautiful gesture, you know, of love to a friend. They could actually copy the link of one of the previous shows on YouTube and send it and tweet or, you know, WhatsApp to as many friends as you possibly can. I mean, bad news is spread so quickly, isn't it, Pastor Edward? What is negative, what is, you know,
has to do with violence and death and tragedy.
Yeah, it's all over the news, so why not spread about the Finding Answers?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so anyway, we are gonna now go for a break, and when we come back, Pastor Edward is gonna bless us with a prayer, a sincere prayer. So please prepare, please, your glass of water. I have mine here. Excuse me, my glass of water is here. Prepare yours, because after the break, Pastor Edward will be praying for you.
Follow My Channel's updates on Facebook. Like your favorite videos and see pictures of your favorite artists. Access our Twitter @MyChannelUK and get to know what's on with My Channel. Visit tvmychannel.com and be connected to our world. My Channel, a whole new world of entertainment.
This is your UCKG timetable. We are open 7 days a week, helping you to make a new beginning. Monday, a meeting focused on achieving more in your financial life. Tuesday, prayers for healing. Wednesday, a meeting teaching you to develop in your spiritual life. Thursday, a special prayer for the family. Friday, a service for your spiritual deliverance. Saturday, Find the One, a service specifically tailored for your love life. Sunday, Reconnect with God, the main meeting for your spiritual strength. How can you rebuild the shreds of a shattered past? Let us help you. Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer for your health and general well-being, send your name and prayer request to help@findinganswers.tv.
God, right now, we ask you, on behalf of all the viewers who are at this moment desperate, alone, crying, this woman that just as the testimony was saying here tonight, the live guest is suffering because of abuse, verbal, physical, emotional, any kind of abuse, in a situation where they feel trapped because if they leave, they fear for their life. If they stay, they fear for their life the same way. And there seems to be no way out. But there is a way out, and you can see it because you are looking at every situation from a much higher point of view than ours. So help this person, this woman, this man who has lost everything, lost everything, and at this point is at home, the family is around, maybe at the bed, but he's not because he can't sleep, doesn't know what to do. He lost the respect for himself, his self-respect, all is gone. But it's never too late for those who turn to you. And I know that you are there because your word says that you live in a high and holy place, but at the same time with those who are humble, with those who are broken, the broken-hearted, the desperate, the lonely, the anxious, the depressed. Oh God, it doesn't matter if this person is watching, finding answers from a palace or from a shack. It doesn't matter, rich, poor. It doesn't matter, young, old. It doesn't matter if they believe. Send your power, send a light. Do what I cannot do, because even if us, we here praying, we human beings, we would not hesitate in helping this person who is praying with us if we could, let alone you. You who are almighty, you who are good, merciful. So please, God, don't take into consideration the mistakes this person made, maybe over and over and over, but you are a merciful, compassionate God. So we ask you to save, we ask you to rescue, inspire, strengthen, forgive, renew. You that is at this point praying with us, receive forgiveness, be forgiven. We say this in faith, in the name of Jesus, be forgiven. The burden is moved off your shoulder. And you can now breathe. Breathe deep. Be at peace. Receive peace. Peace with God. Peace with yourself. Believe that a new beginning starts now. God, we also pray for all those who called us, who included their name in this prayer book, those who sent us an email with their prayer request. God, we put every life in your hands, including our own. We bless this water, so that when we drink it, everyone who drinks may receive healing in the spirit, the soul, and the body. And if you agree with this prayer, wherever you are, just say, Amen. Drink the water. Be blessed.
You are blessed indeed. And remember, there is no greater blessing than inner peace.
Absolutely.
Because inner peace cannot be purchased. There is no money, fame, talent, skills, high-ranking positions whatsoever. Whatever people would kill for, nothing can be compared to inner peace.
And Douglas, one of the most important signs someone is connecting to God is peace. And I believe, as we have it here, thank God we'll be able to finish the program, go home rest. We believe this viewer who prayed with us and believes will also be able to do the same.
We're going to go home now. We're physically tired, but inside we are at peace. We know that our families, they're waiting for us. Yes. We know our wives.
Yeah. And we believe the same, right? The same peace has reached this home.
Absolutely. Well, God bless you. Thanks for the opportunity, and we will see you next time.